Hey there, welcome back. This is Michelle. I'm excited that you have come to talk about sparks. Let's talk a little bit about that today. So, in the previous videos, I've been talking a lot about signs and symbols and how important they are because they really do end up giving us a little spark of elevated emotional set points. And to me, that is where creativity and solutions and these feelings of possibilities pop through so vibrantly for us. So before I get started really deep in it, I'm going to go ahead and spray the elevated spray. Oh, I want to show I've got a new label that has just been made. Boy, can you see it? It's hard to see, isn't it? Anyways, elevated spray, Sophia Consciousness. Hard to see. Anyways, okay, so sparks, they are the thing that during the day grab our attentions. And that's why I love talking about signs and symbols, because they give us an opportunity to play in this like magic land. And I think a lot of the times we think that when we're going through our day, especially if we're going through something that we're not personally excited about, or we're in this mundaneness of things, that it's important to turn up our dial, our intuitive dial, on how it is we want to play in the world, right? And sparks can come at the craziest times. In fact, most of my signs, symbols, or sparks come when I am occupied with doing the typical things in the day. From a lot of people say, oh, I get stuff all the time when I'm in the shower, right? Or I get it when I drive. For me, it's driving, especially long distances if I'm by myself. So much can come through at that point in time. Other people will say when they're washing dishes or they're doing laundry or, vacuuming, because there's kind of like a white noise, especially if you've got a larger house and you're vacuuming for a while, you can kind of have some, putting makeup on because you're focused. And the only reason that happens is because you've occupied the analytical mind. You've given the analytical mind something else to think and do. And therefore, those signals and those signs, those sparks can pop through. And when we receive a spark, what do we do with them, right? What is the deepest intention is to move forward on an action. I remember years ago when this was probably in 2000, it was probably in 2000, I was studying with Anthony Robbins. And I had an opportunity to go to one of his programs in 2006, I think. And I loved it because he talks a lot about never leaving inspiration. I don't think he used those words at that time, but never leaving inspiration without doing some type of inspired action on it, right? So those sparks lead into inspiration. And inspiration then is automatically going to lead you into inspired action. In the past, it used to be that you have to push, push, push. You have to keep going. You have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You have to keep working until it gets done. And now what I see is, if you have an opportunity to have that spark come through, that in that instant, do not leave it without doing action on it. And the reason is because it is inspired action. Action versus inspired action are completely different energies. So action without wanting to do it, like it's pushing, means that you're kind of going, you're poking the bear on emotions of, I don't want to do this, I don't want to be there. And what happens is that if you've looked at the chart in my book, Be Your Own Emotional Alchemist, I give categories. And let's say you're going to go do an action, but you don't want to. Like there's resistance in it. You're now in a lower frequency vibration. You've poked this beautiful spark. No, not even a spark. This intention that you think you have to do. And now you're pushing it through. You're pulling it through these lower frequency vibrations. It doesn't feel good. A lot of the times when I do that, what ends up happening is I'll come back the next day and look at what I said or did, and I'll think, ugh, that work wasn't good, or the communication wasn't solid, so I have to redo it, or whatever it was that it was intended for isn't utilized. If you're doing any type of marketing stuff for your business, let's say, and you do that, you're probably not going to get much positive feedback on it because your energy is stooped in the action and it's a lower frequency. However, if you've had this spark and you've had this beautiful moment of like, aha, and then you take an inspired action, you're in the high vibratory section. You're playing in a different field. You're playing in a field that you want to be playing in, because not only is it a higher vibrational set point, but whatever you're creating or doing or saying is going to be felt by others who are in that same vibratory space. So, for example, if you have a hit, I need to go write up this contract for somebody. I just had this greatest idea. I know how it's going to work. And let's say you sit down and you type it all up and you send it. That energy that's behind it, which when you're in high vibrational states and you're sending that energy, the feeling can be felt by the receiver. Whether it's somebody you know or somebody you don't know, it can be felt. And all of a sudden they're looking at it, and even if they don't like, oh, okay, she sent me the contract, I like this part of it, this part I don't. And then all of a sudden this conversation is going back and forth in a more high vibratory state, which you understand. But think about it, if you were pushing yourself through to something, it is going to have exactly that field. The other person's going to be pushing back. The communication, I mean, hear my tone on that. You can feel the difference. So that's why when we have sparks, which are inspiration points, are signs, they are symbols, they are aha moments. When you have them, don't leave the spark without doing an action, an inspired action with it, because you're going to find all this juicy material behind it that you didn't even know existed. So let's say, for example, you've got an opportunity and something hit you and you're like, but I've got to go to work. Well, think about it. Then ask for more time in your morning. Ask the angels, hey, I need a little bit more time. I'm going to run in and I'm going to write this up and I'm going to send it off to somebody. And if you can't, then anchor it in, like breathe in the excitement of it. And whenever you get to where you get to, find the time to do it, because it is like this huge green flag. You know how we're all looking for like, well, what's my next step? What's my next sign? And all of a sudden we get it. And if you can't do it in that inspired time, breathe in and anchor in the excitement with it and come back to it. But if you can, say I'm going to be 10 minutes late, I'll be right with you, just give me a moment, I've had great inspiration on something. Most people are pretty good about, oh, okay, yeah, no big deal, especially since most of us aren't driving anywhere anyways. And then getting that out, because that means the rest of your day you're going to be more in tuned because you're going to be thinking about it. There's always so much simplicity to all of this, but are we all actually following it? And I think more and more of us are, but I just see personally, when I get that little hit, it doesn't matter what's on my agenda for the day. More than not, I'm going to pause and take it. And the amount of flow that comes from it, it becomes magical. It becomes, it's like your to-do list all of a sudden shrinks because you're in the flow. You're following it. And the amount of help and the assistance and the clarity comes through. It's just a juicy thing. So use your spark. Use your spark to benefit yourself, which we know benefits everyone around you, which we know it benefits the consciousness on the planet. And as always, I send everyone great love. Be your own emotional alchemist, and we'll talk again soon. Take care.